Hi everyone, this is Prashad Parthiban. Today I'm going to take a training on cyber risk insurance. What is a cyber risk? It is nothing but a potential harm or loss that happens to an organization due to the use of technology. Let's take an example. Say if I have a company, to run my company I need to use computers or servers. For some reason, people like hackers, if they try to access my computer and try to put some kind of virus that stops my business, this is one kind of cyber risk. So to avoid or to mitigate this problem, we need some kind of insurance. So that is why we use cyber insurance. Now, you may have a question, why can't traditional insurance cover this cyber exposures? For those who are new to exposures, loss exposures are nothing but a potential exposure to a loss. Say if you have a homeowners, your building is a loss exposure because your building can be impacted by fire or rain. So anything that is exposed to loss is called as loss exposure. In this case, like for cyber insurance, like computer or server or data that got exposed to these hackers, they are called as loss exposures. Now there are two kinds of coverages similar to all other policies. Like one is first party coverages, second one is third party. First party is nothing but property and the third party is nothing but liability coverages. So if you see here, okay, before talking about this cyber insurance, I was about to talk about traditional insurance, right? So why do you need cyber insurance? Like when you have traditional insurance like general liability, when you have traditional insurance like BPP, building and personal property, why do you need an exclusive cyber risk insurance? So if you take traditional insurance and look at the coverages, they cover very minimal amount of coverage to the cyber risk. Sometimes they don't even cover. So that's the reason why they have an exclusive policy for covering cyber risk insurance. For an example, if you have a company where you use computers on other technological items, the traditional insurance could say that if something happens, say if your data got breached, if somebody accessed your data and then they stole it, now if your customer files a case against you, the traditional policies will have very certain limit like 10,000 or 20,000, which may not be sufficient to address your loss exposures. So that is the reason why it is very much advisable that you don't rely on traditional insurance and go to cyber risk insurance. Now let's talk about different coverages that we have at a high level regarding cyber risk insurance. To start with first party, which is nothing but property. The first one is restoring lost income and resuming operations. Say you have a business and for some reason hackers are nothing but a specific kind of people who write computer programs to access the organization data or their computers or decode the organization password and then try to access their computers, stole the data or make sure their computers are getting corrupted. So all those activities are taken care by these hackers. So when they do that, when you have a specific cyber risk insurance, you can make sure that if for some reason the hacker tries to access your computer and as a result you cannot run your business for 3 months. So this coverage will make sure that it gives required coverage during that 3 months. So there are two categories that you can talk about, right? One, say if you have a retail business, you are having an online website to run your business. For some reason your online website is hacked. Now you cannot run your business, right? Similarly, that's a direct exposure. So the way indirect exposure works is, say you have an online business and you are using a third party payment services, right? In those cases, if your third party payment services is down due to cyber attack, still you cannot allow the customers to make online payment. So then means you have some kind of liability to your customers. So those kind of scenarios can be covered under restoring lost income. Breach response, right? Say you have customer data. Day to day, if I am running my company, I can have customer data like SSN or their private information, address and everything. For some reason, if these hackers try to hack that data, then it's very important as a company, I have to provide response to my clients. So if I do not provide my response on time or if I do not provide at all, then we could get into problem, right? So that kind of scenarios can be taken care by this coverage. Breach response. How do you respond to a breach? Do you want to hire an expert who can guide you on the next steps, or the expert can say what is that you have to do to overcome this problem? So those kind of scenarios can be taken care by breach response. Computer crime, similar to crime coverage. Say if you have an employee who is part of an organization, he tries to get into your computer and then say try to transfer funds from your organization to his own account. So that comes under computer crime. These are few of the coverages. There can be more. Trying to give some examples so that you get a feel of what is cyber risk insurance. Coming to third-party coverages, right? Data and network reliability. As I told you, the core thing is for any company to have data. It can be customer data, it can be supplier data, it can be company data. So for some reason, if the hackers try to hack the data, it comes under reliability where customer can sue you. So in those cases, these coverages can be used. Regulatory defense, like sometimes it's very important that if something happens to the customer data, you, as per the regulatory body, you need to respond to the customer within certain time. If you fail to do that, then these regulatory coverages can be used for your defense mechanism. Payment card. Sometimes what happens, if the customer is using their credit card to make their payments, sometimes if that details are getting breached by the hackers, then you can use this liability coverage to take care of that. Media liability, sometimes you put some information about some organizations in your website or something else which you got sued, and you use this media liability. And again, all these coverages are applicable when it comes to cyber risk. Now, cyber risk, as I told you, it's not kind of a traditional policy. By itself, it's unique. So it always comes with some kind of challenges, right? So what kind of challenges? Breach of infrastructure. One thing the risk management people has to be very careful is, the goal of cyber risk people is to make an huge impact. When I say huge impact, they are going to try to access the infrastructure, like say if I have an oil pump which gives oil to the thousands of companies, they try to access that and try to stop it. So we have to be very careful how to address those mitigations. State sponsored. Nowadays we know if a particular country have to fight with another country, no more like a war, they can do a cyber attack and then access their systems. So we have to be very cautious in those scenarios. So that's what state sponsored cyber attacks. Cloud outages. We know most of the companies are moving toward cloud. So the hackers are very much particular to hack this cloud vendors, so that if it happens, it's not one company, it's like thousands of companies are going to have outage. So the cloud providers are very much specifically taking care or very much cautious about these cyber attackers, and they have required cyber risk insurance. Theft of IP, that is intellectual property, which means if you have a company, you could have a company essence, when means you develop a new product, you have the formula for that. So in those cases, it is very important that you take care of that, and we don't want the cyber attacker to access that and then give it to your competitor or someone else. Social engineering schemes, as I told you, nowadays, people get a lot of emails or advertisements saying that if you enroll in this website, we give you some kind of offers. So this is also prone to have a lot of cyber attacks. So this is what pretty much I wanted to cover. Basically, it's very important that every company, even it can be a small company or big company, they are prone for cyber attacks, and if it happens, the outcome is going to be very high. So it's very important you work with your brokers or insurance company to evaluate your current exposures, and based on your exposures, get the required cyber risk insurance. I hope you like my training video. If you like my training video, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.